I don't wanna say this, but dapat bang nasa car seat ka if you don't
Oh! Oh! Shots
if you
fired!
don't
Shots fired!
if you don't even
Welcome to the House Blend special episode. Today, I am your host, Hans, and unfortunately, I do not have the boys with me, Ken and Cody, today. But we have another guest named Ken, who is my friend. Please introduce yourself.
Hello guys, I'm Hans' friend, the car guy, who is unfortunately also named Ken.
So, as you said, my guy, mahilig ka sa cars.
Yes, sir.
Please introduce kung ano yung gamit mong kotse and kung ano yung mga plano mo dun.
Sa personal car ko, which is 1993 model na Mitsubishi Lancer.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's all stock pa naman. Pero so far, ang plans ko pa lang dun is at least to maintain na yung good running condition. Kasi maraming issues din na although minor lang naman, like hindi naman siya totally affecting sa car performance.
Mm-hmm.
But still, dapat din siyang ma-fix if gusto mo siyang gamitin for, like, let's say, long drives, more than
Sana all long
50K.
drive. Sana
Oh,
all long
diba?
drive. So, just for the context for our listeners, we both own the same type of car. I have a 1997 Mitsubishi Lancer, although magkaiba kami ng chassis ni Ken right here.
Mm-hmm.
He owns the ENG type, yung dinadub nating mga Pinoy as itlog or hotdog.
Yep.
And I own the pizza pie type, which of course you can tell by its tail light is shaped like a pizza. And so far, my plans with that car is kunyari to keep it in very good running condition. Probably, alam ko nasabi ko yun sa'yo, Ken, ang pinakamalaking ginawa dun is yung radiator ko, di ba? Na pinatanso ko due to overheating. Although that was probably because age na rin ang kotse natin, which
Natural wear and tear.
20 years old na yung kotse natin. In
More
car year
than.
standards na yun.
Super.
Pero yeah, like if we both got the money, like what would you first do to the car? Like lots of money, hindi lang yung okay, repair here and there. Like ano yung talagang steps we can take to bring it to the next level of stages in terms of car tuning.
I guess I'd say there's gonna be a lot of stages for the car. Pero so far, I'm gonna discuss lang yung stages 2 and 3 because
pasikreto.
Kasi stage 4 would be medyo a complicated service na gagawin.
Wow. Parang
alam mo yan.
Mala midnight tuning na ba to, tol?
Legit.
Sige,
medyo complicated. Sure, start tayo sa stage 2, which is syempre upgrade ng chassis parts like yung suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily full track spec because medyo maka-affect siya on the ride quality ng car. It's gonna be
diba?
Kasi it's gonna be too harsh for daily driving, like especially if may passenger ka na medyo finicky when it comes to the ride comfort. So dapat na lang. Siguro if I'm gonna go with adjustable, may nakita akong shop sa FB na actually he does tuning sa suspension, and he explained na not all coilovers should be harsh sa ride comfort.
Unless talagang itatrack mo na siya.
Tsaka it all comes down to part combination, like the right bushings, type of rubber na gagamitin sa bushings, tapos yung tuning ng actual shocks, yung bound and rebound rates niya,
yung response ng actual coil springs in terms of the road quality.
How do we call this in Tagalog? Yung laro. yung laro ng suspension.
Kung
You
bouncy
need to
ba siya
fine-tune that.
or medyo comfort pa, soft or
Ah,
hard, di ba?
yung i-adjust kung gaano kalaki yung bound and rebound rate niya. As far as I know, na nakita ko doon sa shop na yun, is that pwede mo siyang i-tune to, let's say, medyo malayo na bound rebound rate. So, at least, hindi siya super bouncy. And in turn, magiging harsh sa passengers mo. And then, after ng suspension, which is part pa rin ng stage 2, is that I think I'm gonna go for a full disc brake upgrade kit. Kasi alam naman natin yung mga Lancer natin eh. Yung
being a front-wheel drive car.
Di ba?
Since front-wheel drive, like, not necessarily na naka-disc tayo sa likod since the car basically doesn't need it pa. Pero, alam naman natin plano natin, which is ang ultimatum Evo conversion. Most likely, dadating din tayo pareha sa point na magdi-disc brake nga tayo. Full disc brake setup. So, ano yung plano mong disc brake dun? 4-pot caliper? 6-pot? Ano?
OEM for the rears. Pero yung front, I think I'm gonna go with AP Racing na I don't know kung 4-pot ba yun or 6-pot. But I do know na big brake kit siya. It's a big brake kit. Kaso, well, tama ka. Ano nga yun? Yun nga pala yung plans if I had all the money in the world, diba? So, bigla ako naisip yung price eh.
Yan tayo eh.
Naisip ko na, it's gonna be pricey, but yun nga, binigyan mo ako ng theoretical.
Yan yung mga kwentuhan natin off the stream na, oh, tol, kaya natin yan. Ang tanong, kaya ba ng wallet natin?
At least ito, masasagot yung plans. Kung kaya ng wallet. Kaya ng wallet.
In terms of, kanina, na-mention mo, which is engine swap. So, ano ang plano mo ilagay dyan?
That's gonna be for the stage 3. Kasi the rest ng stage 2 will be exterior upgrades. And interior upgrades, syempre,
for ride comfort?
Dan naman na tayo sa ride comfort eh. Na yun yung magiging goal ng setup. Kasi di ko naman talaga goal to have a very high-powered car. Kasi if I'm gonna go for
the balance kasi.
Full balance. So, stage 3, ang plan ko is the whole stage 2 will be everything except the engine. Excuse me.
So, for stage 3, yun na talaga yung engine swap mo?
Yun na yung engine swap. Doon papasok si 4G63.
Yun, the legendary 4G63. And of course, alam naman natin, the Evos perform with the turbo. So, as soon as engine swap ba, plano mo na agad salpakan ng turbo or NA racing ka muna?
Siyempre, as much as possible. Siyempre, yun nga eh, tinanggal natin yung budget constraints from our, from the equation eh. Which is, that's the point of this part. So, syempre, rekta na kagad tayo with the one with the turbo.
Yan na naman tayo.
The turbo, syempre.
What turbo you're planning on getting? Tapos theoretically, how much PSI are you going to run dun sa Evo conversion project natin?
I'm fine with 10 to 12.
Wow,
10 to 12 would be enough. Yeah, at least hindi siya like 25,
it's not
30.
Super aggressive.
Super aggressive din. That's actually the realm of another topic for this episode. Which we will discuss later on.
So stage 3 mo is basically the engine na. Like internals, ganun. More on the car's engine performance, di ba?
Pero full balance. So full balance pa din.
Coming from that, sa akin naman, ang plans ko dun sa Lancer is medyo final stages na yung engine swap, which kung kailangan ko na lang talaga when I'm going to maybe do a lot of track days, dun na siguro ako mag-engine swap. Pero for my stage 1, it's more of just fixing what hasn't been fixed before eh. As rhetorical as that sounds. Pero so far, alam mo naman, any old car is prone to breaking, di ba?
Alam natin yun ang stage 1 natin.
So basically, ang nagawa ko na dun is to change my radiator and fix my power steering system. Tapos, siguro a lot of filters needing cleanups and other stuff. So basically, that's my stage 1. Stage 2 is more on the ride comfort din, kagaya mo. Which
Mm.
kailangan ko na talagang gawin since yung bushing ng kotse ko medyo unfortunate. Ilagay lang natin sa term na yun. Medyo unfortunate na yung status niya ngayon.
Word of the day, unfortunate.
Pero yeah, I plan on changing the suspension along with the lower arm, CV joint, bushing, and I will probably lower the car, pero using lowering springs. I don't have the budget yet for coilovers because you guys know how much that costs. For the car guys out there, alam niyo kung magkano ang coilovers.
Alam niyo yan, alam niyo dapat yan. If you don't know it, dapat bang
Please research it.
Or I don't wanna say this, but dapat bang nasa car seat ka if you don't know?
Shots fired.
If you don't if you don't even know how much a coilover kit costs.
Especially, di ba, yung mga stock na Evos, ang gamit is either Stein or Olin's, which would probably cost you around, let's say, 6 figures.
But that's for a full set. Full set. Don't worry, guys. That's for a full set.
We're not trying to scare you or anything. But it is what it is.
You've heard us. Yun.
Pero yeah, this is where like medyo magdi-differ na kami ni Ken. My stage 3 is more on changing the exterior and the interior na din to make it more Evo-ish in terms of conversion. My dream is probably to really put the OEM Recaro seats ng Evo 4. But of course, as we all know again, those are fucking rare and those fucking cost a lot. But yeah,
if you happen to catch one, I tell you guys, good luck.
Tapos, most likely I would probably be going well with the chassis repair because we know na yung mga chassis nga natin medyo beat up na from being on the road for 20 plus years.
And another thing, syempre, we're friends naman eh. Even though hindi naman ganun katagal, but still, di ba? Syempre, I do have knowledge naman about your Lancer.
And I have also knowledge about your Lancer. Syempre, Lancer bros tayo eh.
Syempre. And I do know,
although, Tol, hindi mo pa ako pinapasakay sa
ano?
Lancer mo.
O nga, no?
Ikaw pa lang sumakay sa Lancer ko.
That's gonna be our content in the future.
Ayun! Hopefully, matuloy. One of these days, yung trips na pinaplano namin. Because unfortunately, plano kami ng plano, pero yung isa pa naming friend, which hindi na namin in-name muna dito, laging hindi pa makasama. Kilala mo na yun, Tol. Bakit nga ba?
Ay, let's not talk about that. Actually, me and Hans, meron kaming NDA about dyan.
Grabe, NDA.
Joke lang, guys.
Pero
but yun nga, huwag nyo nang alamin.
Hopefully matuloy like maybe Baguio or Tagaytay one of these days, Batangas, Laguna na medyo
Tagaytay, Batangas.
Kaso Tol,
it's gonna be a fine ride.
Alam naman natin na taga north ako, south kaya ako yung lugi dun eh. Sunduin mo muna ako.
Okay. Sige.
Ba't parang nag-hesitate ka dun? Parang labas sa ilong yung okay ah.
Kasi that topic should be discussed for another episode. About Filipinos in general na yan, guys. Filipinos in general na yan. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
You know. That's it, man. Pero yeah, coming up from that, if we are not talking about we're retiring our Lancers, what would your dream car be or your unicorn car? Yung pinaka-coveted car mo ever. Aside from Lancers.
Syempre, syempre. Sige. Ano ba to? Like, if we're on a tito age.
Yan na naman tayo sa Tito Age subject niya yan. For context, the other day, me and Ken were talking about what would be the best suited
Perfect tito
car
car.
for our age pagka tito na kami, which is like 40 plus. And this guy keeps spouting Honda at me. Motherfucker. Not to offend any Honda owners. Pero alam
Guys,
niyo
for
naman yun,
context.
which is coming later.
No need for context pala kasi we're gonna be discussing it in a while.
Ah, pero yun nga tol. What is your dream car or your unicorn car?
I'd like to talk about my unicorn car na lang. Kasi if
Okay.
it's a dream car, meron yan dito eh. Meron yan dito.
Mm-hmm. And what car
Syem-
would that be?
I think alam naman nating lahat ng Skyline GTR.
Yan. Kaya car bro, ay tayo parehas tayo eh.
Alam yan ng mga car guys. But
Specifically, what version of Skyline GTR?
syempre, ano yan? R33 agad ang sagot ko dyan. Pero, ito yung thing. Ito yung, siguro FYI na rin for the car guys na, let's say, I don't want to offend you so much, pero, yung medyo ang alam lang talaga is R32 and R34.
Mm-hmm.
Syempre, we have the R33 naman.
Mm-hmm.
Pero there's a special edition made by Nismo that is made in such small numbers. And I'd like to get my hands on a Nismo 400R.
Damn, talk about unicorn talaga. You can
Two
probably watch a
point-
lot of videos about the Nismo 400R and how
Syempre.
underrated it is. You can see it scattered all over YouTube, diba?
Sobra. Like, I think one well-known video of the 400R is, I don't know what unit number was that, but kasi as far as I remember, let's search for it. Sige.
Mm-hmm.
So, 400R number of units.
I think if I remember correctly, dito sa atin sa Philippines, there's not a lot of people who own Skyline GTRs na not R35. And there's even lesser people that have the GTR R33. It's either R34 or R32 nga, like you said. Pero I think mas lamang ang R34 due to its popularity. But yeah, I also feel na sobrang underrated ng R33. Because when I went to Japan, like, R32s and R34s are the stuff, but they have a lot more respect for the R33 GTR. I remember going down, crossing the road, and seeing an actual Tommy Kaira R33 crossing the street, waiting for us to get to the other side. So that's how much they appreciate the R33. Na somebody's still willing to use those as daily drivers.
Diba? And Nismo 400Rs are pretty much super rare. Nismo only made around, I think, 44 units lang.
Mm-hmm. So really, ilan lang. Let's put it in this way. GTR R34s are quite a commodity na in terms of rarity. What more is this special edition 400R made by Nissan, di ba?
Ano na siya? How can I say this for lack of a better word? Coveted. It's a coveted piece of car.
Lalo na yung Series 1, di ba? It's probably like what, under 20 units produced?
20 to 30 units lang ata yun eh.
Really, really scarce considering that was 1997 was what? 24 years ago?
24 years ago. Ganun.
So, like, isipin nyo na lang, ilan pa that survived to this day, and out of those surviving units, ilan pa ang in very prestige running condition, di ba?
Oh. Kasi, I don't know what happened to the other units, pero I do know that one of the 44 became an actual race car in the
Mhm.
US. Like, ginamit siya for Pikes Peak eh. So that's one na
One out of the 44.
one out of the 44 and one na technically not so pristine condition. Kasi hindi na siya yung original spec eh. Like they just built a full-blown race car from the 400R.
Mhm.
Anong ginamit lang nila as base. And some of the units pinili naman ng tuning houses in Japan.
Sometimes
Mm,
ginagawa for display history, just to see the
mm,
history of the car.
Kasi I do remember that one of the 44 units was actually owned by Mines, which is a
Mhm.
renowned Nissan tuner. So, although pristine naman yung condition ng 400R owned by Mines, pero
Like you
ayun nga,
said,
parang
tuned na siya. It's not
mm,
exactly stock na stock.
like I think the only mods that they did was to place some mine stickers on the car. Eh. Pero as far as I remember, they did nothing to the engine. Eh. They kept
Hmm.
it as is na kung ano yung
What?
ginawa ng Nismo back then for the
Hmm.
400R. They kept
Maybe
it
some
as
minor
is.
tune.
Probably ECU tunes. Kasi it's one of the
That's one of mine
forte ng
specialty din eh, di ba?
mm,
I think
like
pwede ka pa
they're
atang
actually
bumili ng mga mines tuned ECUs ngayon for certain cars, di ba? If I remember correctly.
it's either that or you can actually ship it from anywhere in the world to their
Mm.
shop. Basta meron silang knowledge about that car. Like
Mhm.
let's say you
Because
can
mostly
actually
sa
you
Japan,
can mm,
ano eh, like, they only tune what they know. Pero that's not
mm,
saying it in a bad way na, konti lang. They know a lot, pero they prefer perfecting muna this car before moving on to tuning another car, di ba?
like they don't really prefer half-assed work eh.
That's one thing you could appreciate about Japanese culture.
Not not wanting to have a half-assed na product. Diba? I never once saw in my life na something half-assed that came from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do remember na for you Civic SIR fans out there, I'm,
Oh,
I'm, I'm,
calling
no,
the
no, no,
Honda
no, no,
boys out. And then.
no, 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 no. It's for the good, it's for the good. Yung,
Ah.
yung, yung mga, yung mga ECU nyo, actually, you can ship it to Japan, straight to mines. They will tune it for you. They have already set tune for B16As. For you,
Kumbaga,
Civic.
plug and play na lang sa kanila yun.
Kasi, syempre, they have a lot of knowledge na rin about B16s eh.
Mm.
That's one thing to know for you about, for you Honda guys, about mines, na they're not just tuning Nissans and Mitsubishis for
Kasi
a living.
they're mostly known for that eh. Tsaka
Mm.
madalas dito kasi sa atin, if Honda, it's either Mugen or Spoon, 'di ba?
Like, a friend of mine that na Honda fan. Kasi once he went to Suginami to sa HQ ng Spoon.
Mhm.
Kasi most of the Honda guys, yun talaga yung alam. But they don't know that on that same ward, nandun din ang Seeker.
Which is a
Nandun,
really underrated tuning company sa Japan din.
mm, na I've actually told that friend na nasa Suginami ka pala. Dapat pumunta ka na rin ng Seeker para hindi sayang punta mo. Sakto Honda
It's
enthusiast
basically
ka.
para ka lang tumawid, 'di ba? Ganun lang
Mm.
yung layo nun.
Or di ka naman necessarily tumawid, but nandun ka na eh. Nandun ka na sa, let's say, pagpalagay natin, kunwari sa Philippines.
Hmm.
Parang nasa barangay ka na eh.
Oo.
Pupunta ka lang ng
Kasi
ibang
sa
village.
Japan kasi ward is technically parang barangay sa atin, 'di ba? Covering
Ah,
a certain area of this city under this capital region or something, or region pala, 'di ba? Ganun.
prefecture.
Ayun, prefecture, yeah, correct. Thank you for saving me.
Got you, fam. Ayun. Sorry, guys.
Okay lang,
So
okay lang.
back to the topic. Sobrang underrated ng shop na yun.
If I remember, ang unang beses ko nalaman ng Seeker is through watching YouTube videos about it. Especially a certain Max Orido crashing it.
That's the well-known. Actually, guys, that's the well-known video of Seeker. A video of Max Orido crashing the
The EG6.
demo car. The demo EG6 ng Seeker. Which is actually a fast car.
Mhm.
It's a type R swap eh. It's a type R swap.
Sobrang yung speed niya, like not just the top speed, pero yung the acceleration and the balance when you see it corner so fast sa Gunsay, 'di ba? When
Kasi
I think he was si DK ata may gamit yun, which is Drift King, also known as Keiichi Tsuchiya, the godfather, well, not the godfather, the Drift King of Japan. Yun yung ginagamit niya, 'di ba? Yung Seeker EG6 while racing the more newer Suzuki Swift sa Gunsay, 'di ba? Tapos he was enjoying it so much that he was basically going tail to tail, bumper to bumper with the Suzuki. That's how much the Seeker EG6 was super balanced and super tuned. Pero yeah, coming off from the sinabi mo, R33 is one of the most underrated GTRs and probably your unicorn car. Mine would probably be, of course, parehas na naman tayo halos, pero it's the R32. It's the
Actually,
one.
it's the one. It's the Godzilla. Guys, FYI, do not call the other GTRs the Godzilla. It's the R32
It's
that is
the R32, yun talaga. It really got its nickname when it first debuted sa Group A Racing, di ba? Because at the time, it was so advanced. We're talking early 90s here, like late 80s to early 90s. And the car already had this motorsport-oriented all-wheel drive system, which is the Atessa. At first, it would perform like a rear-wheel drive car.
ano yun eh, parang rear
Basically-
biased. Rear biased. It's rear
Basically a
biased.
differential na super intelligent, di ba? And I remember it dominating Group A so much na, as in dominate, like, seconds off from the second place, di ba, mga ganun.
And it's not just in Japan kasi. That's why
Mhm.
it's known as the Godzilla. Kasi it had an actual, for lack of a better word, a scary pedigree all around the world. Kasi
If I remember,
one,
nung debut din niya, I think it set a record in the Nürburgring, di ba?
and I mean, one of the reasons why the R32 was called the Godzilla is actually the friend of the guy who set the Nürburgring record of the R32. Gansan, he's a friend of Kazuo Shino.
And coming from this info that I'm reading right now, apparently the R32 set a record in the Nürburgring for 8 minutes and 22 seconds minute lap time, which is probably the most fastest road legal car at that time.
Of that time.
Because remember, this is 1989. Yung mga stuff
Like-
na meron tayo ngayon is super advanced compared to the technology in the 1989. Diba?
Considering the advancement in technology, like look at the Civic. It can look at the Civic Type R, the FK8. It can actually beat up the Godzilla real bad in Nürburgring. But syempre, look at the time difference kasi.
For
Kasi-
it to set a record at 1989, I think yun
Mm,
pa
diba?
lang, alam mo na kung gano'ng kalakas yung car na yun. At that time, ang mga nagsiset ng record na yun around sa Nürburgring, Porsche, Ferraris, mga ganun, di ba?
Mga usually it's the Europeans who set the records.
Pero for a Japanese car to go in there and set a record, alam mo na kung gano'ng kalakas.
Like, it's an actual feat of strength, guys.
So yeah, after that, Let's open the cold ones, boys. Boy pala.
Let's go. Boy.
Boy.
Remember, ako lang kasama mo, tal.
Oo nga pala. Mamaya na ako mag-aano, tol. I would probably want a white wine right now pero nawala yung lamig so I put it back in the ref. So I will go with San Make Apple muna. We are not sponsored by the way. Pa-sponsor naman please.
Gusto nyo ba i-plug ko? Open.
Oh yeah, that sound, man. I miss drinking. Those times na pwede lang tayo mag-hang out around campus. Because for your information, guys, we are like Ken and Cody, the other Ken, ha, not this one. Pero basically, we are all connected through our alma mater, which we probably won't say. Pero it was a good run back there, a good 4 years. Unfortunately, hindi kami nagkasama sa class nitong Ken na to. Because I graduated before we got to know each other. Pero I would want to drink at that area again with this guy. Oh yeah, that hits the spot, man. Although hindi na masyado malamig, I'll still take it. It's still a drink. Especially at these times na maximum mo lang mabibili mo 4 na bottles, di ba? Savor everything.
Oh, di ba?
But yeah, man, talking about car brands, like okay, alam ko na kung saan napupunta yung isip mo, tol.
Okay, you open the topic, tol.
Pero what do you think about the car brands getting their own identity? Like, for comparison, Toyota is known for their reliability. And
Tama.
Honda is known for their racing prowess, kung gaano silang nag-dominate sa F1 racing then back then. And Subaru is probably, right now, ang connotation niya, di ba, is mostly for the rich guys.
For the rich guys na, you know, yung they have the money for unlimited maintenance. Or as the line would
are
say,
not cheap, di ba?
Or as the line would say, ganto.
Sige.
More maintenance than you can afford, pal. Subaru.
This is why we chose Mitsubishi over Subaru, di ba? That's
kasi
one of the reasons.
That's one of the reasons. Sobrang delix ang ano niya.
Sobrang
maintenance niya. Di ko kayo minamasama Subaru, guys. I know that you love your Subarus naman.
Pero in terms of maintenance, whew!
In terms of maintenance, I think you would agree with us. Kasi kasi the line that I said earlier, yung more maintenance than you can afford, is actually...
It's a fact. It's a fact.
And it's not just a fact, tol. It's actually said by an actual Subaru owner, tol. He said it in one of the videos about the top secret Supra. Like, he just barged into the video, lined up beside the Supra, then sinabi niya din sa owner ng top secret Supra na more maintenance than you can afford, pal. Subaru.
And yeah, like Mitsubishi is probably known for handling and comfort.
Handling.
Nissan, I don't know much, pero sa Pilipinas, pag Nissan, malamig aircon.
Actually, it's a known fact naman sa around the world. Actually, even the Silvias, Fairladies, GTRs, they had good aircon.
Denso, di ba? Denso ba ang compressor nila mostly?
Hindi. Kasi it's Toyota that uses Denso.
Okay.
Nissan actually uses Calsonic.
Tama, Calsonic. I forgot, but yeah, R32s were sponsored by Calsonic dati. You could see that on their libraries whenever they raced back then in Group A. And
I think they sponsored most of the Nissan race cars back then. Like, even up to Group C and GT1, yung racing career ng Nissan as a constructor sa 24 Hours of Le Mans Or parang ganito, kung may hands, may alcohol. Kung may alcohol, may hands.
Grabe ka sa akin, tol!
Same lang naman tayo, tol. Same lang tayo dyan.
But yeah, Mazda, Mazda
They're
kasi
actually
dito,
luxury.
RX-7s were probably on the rarer side dito sa
Unlike
atin.
on the other countries
Na super common lang, di ba? Hindi naman
mm,
super common, more like rare. Pero not
we're
as
not
rare dito sa atin na I think good basically count kung ilan lang meron RX-7s dito with your feet,
mm,
with your toes and fingers.
kasi
Alam
ah,
niyo yun, car guys, kung sino lang ang may mga RX-7 dito.
hello Sir Oric. Nagpa-shoutout eh. No?
Hi sir, pasali po sa ano. So may ganun yun, no?
Pasali po sa Club 7, joke wala kaming RX-7. Tsaka na lang po pag-camera namin.
I think
They're actually honored
back in the 90s, ang
Mazda Philippines.
pinaka-common ata na Mazda dito is probably the 323, di ba?
Kasi it's actually their parang
Economy mass car, di ba?
go-to family car, which
Basic
is
economics, 4 doors, gets you to point A to point B.
in such uh in such uncompromising comfort. which is lalo mo na makikita on the current iteration of quote unquote the 323 kasi it's actually called the Mazda 3 na.
Pero yeah, talking car brands, like, tol, why do you think those brands get those reputations around dito sa Pilipinas? Like, what makes the consumers think that, pagka Toyota, reliable yan. Hindi yan sirain. Tumatagal yan. Ganun. Pag Honda yan, malakas.
Or if not malakas, parang luxurious to the point na, guys.
Sorry.
Wag. Sorry Honda boys. Don't worry, may Honda ako dati.
I-explain naman natin dyan bakit. I-explain natin mamaya bakit. I-debunk namin yung myth na yun.
May dedicated section kami for that later. Pero, yun nga. I think it stems back to yung concept ng Hello Front Row. Concept ng multi-level marketing. Diba?
Natawa ko din tala.
Kasi ang multi-level marketing naman is passed down by word of mouth, then nagpi-pyramid siya to other, kunyari, let's say ikaw.
Basically, think of it as a chain message. Diba?
A good type of chain message. Kasi kunyari ikaw, you told me, kunyari ikaw and our other friend na hindi na nakasama sa na hindi lagi mayaya. Oh, let's say siya. Kaming dalawa. Sinabihan mo kami na, mga tol, grabe talaga pagka Lancer. Ganda ng performance. Tapos tipid pa sa gasolina. Even though 4G92 siya. So ngayon, me and the other guy, alam na namin yung fact na yun. Then, mapapabili ako kunyari ng Lancer. I'm gonna drive it. Then, say the same thing na as Hans said na sa amin, on my example, na-experience ko kunyari siya first hand. Then, tama si Hans. Ganda nga ng performance. Tipid. Kahit hindi siya carb type, tipid siya. So ngayon, I'm gonna tell it to my other two friends na let's say hindi kilala ni Hans. And pababa na yun ng pababa until dumating siya to a national level na it become
kumbaga, yun na yung inaan nilang notion dun sa kotse.
Kumbaga, parang
yun na ina-attach nila.
Tipong nagiging na siya, hive knowledge na siya.
Pero more on the performance, I think like, let's say yun nga, Honda is known for their power. That's probably because of their history sa F1 racing, di ba? If I remember correctly, they worked with Ferrari and McLaren, ba?
McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren
I,
for their
wait.
F1 engines. I
Mm.
think those were the
The other
ones
team was
na may shell, 'di ba? Shell decals.
Shell, Marlboro. I think the other team was Williams, but I think it was only once. And Lotus for a short time. I
That
think.
was the if I remember correctly, that was the start na doon na rin ini-introduce ng Honda yung white color, more specifically the championship white color because they kept winning using this F1
Mm,
car, 'di ba?
that one was from the 1960s.
Hmm.
That the championship white was actually from the 1960s. Their first stint in F1 racing. Like
So that was
they tried
super
their
early
hand.
pa, 'di ba?
They tried their hand, and syempre, knowing that
Knowing
they're
Honda.
actually di lang yun, tol. Knowing that they're the only Japanese manufacturer in F1 and
Hmm.
the first. So they made it their like how do you call this? Their promise that they're gonna bear the flag colors ng Japan
To
on their
represent
cars to represent na look.
we're a Japanese company, 'di ba?
We
Parang
are
power
we
statement.
we are a Japanese company, and
We
we are
are
the
the
first one.
only, 'di ba? We are the only Japanese
We are
company and the first one in this race.
back in the 1960s. So
Hmm.
they had to carry the flag.
Hmm.
So doon nang galing yun, yung championship white. That's a fact for you Honda
Hmm.
guys if you don't know about that. If you don't know about that. Doon nang galing yung bakit may red na H.
Hmm.
And bakit that red H actually goes with the championship white kasi
Hmm.
it signifies the
The flag
it,
of Japan and what
mm,
it means to the Japanese companies back then. If
that
it's Type
spirit.
R, you better get the championship white. Yun. If it's Type
Mm.
R, get the championship white. But yeah, I think we would probably take a break here and come back later. Okay, guys, welcome back to the House Blend special where we talk about cars along with our guest Ken, also known as dyslexi0n over here.
Hello
And
guys.
yeah, so I've finished probably a can of 3% beer, and to coin our friend Ken, tipsy lang, di ako lasing.
Tipsy lang. Di ako
You know who
lasing,
you are,
tipsy
Chino
lang.
boy. You know who you are, Chino boy. But yeah, toast to that, and I'll be opening another. This time I'll be opening white wine by Novellino, which is Bianco Vivace. So let's hear that pop, bro. Oh yeah, pouring it in. So this will probably accompany me for another hour or two. So yeah, I wanna talk about kung sino mga pinapanood natin in terms of car YouTubers and like what kind of content they produce. So, yung mga listeners natin pwedeng i-check out kung ano yung content nila after pakinggan tong podcast natin. So, ikaw tol, ano mga ma-recommend mong YouTubers na car guys sa listeners natin? Kasi,
Siguro, uh, one channel that I could suggest sa inyo guys, if you're into something more technical, let's say, kunyari mga engineering inclined ka na you wanna know ano yung mga differences between what kinds of engines there are. Pupalagay natin, basically, the scientific side of cars.
hmm,
Meron tayong Engineering Explained.
yan. Very underrated.
Very underrated. Pero maganda ko to niya, guys.
Hmm,
Honda S2K. Na color
ay,
yellow.
another dream car of mine. Honda S2K.
No, ano lang yan, guys, disclaimer. Kala nyo galit-galit sa Honda yan si Hans.
Oy, grabe ka.
Pero pag nakita ng S2K yan, Maglalaway ka.
Ganun ba,
Magla,
tol?
maglalaway yan. Kita nyo kung paano yan naglalaway kay God Hand eh.
Yan tayo eh.
S2K.
Mamaya pag-uusapan natin yan, mga God hand na yan, para mas
Yun.
ano natin kung ano ba talaga yan.
Yun.
Coming up from Engineering Explained, if you want like lighter version ni Engineering Explained, I would suggest heading over to Donut Media. Although I think wala na ata yung series nila na yun, which is Science Garage. If I remember correctly, may guy na nag-replace series na yun, which is working on their Miata, the Donut Miata, and they're slowly changing it and explaining what the change made to the car is.
How do we explain this? Parang a simpler version again ni Science Garage. No, ni Science Garage. Kasi si Science Garage, simplified Engineering Explained. Then, kung isi-simplify mo further, si Science Garage, it's the new guy. I don't know, ano pa? Zach ata yung...
Job, I think. And of course, Donut Media's very own everything you know to get up to speed. James Pumphrey, the guy himself who made Donut. I personally, pagka naaalala ko sa Donut Media, I remember the Evo video na dun pa lang siya medyo nagiging start maging hyper. Like, yung intro niya, that was so iconic, di ba?
I think doon ata siya talaga nag-start maging yung hyper. The James we love. Kumbaga.
And I remember watching yung di ba tol, nung na-release yung video niya about bumper to bumper on the Lancer Evo 2, which is one of the most rarest Evos out there.
Wow! Yun na
tapos sobrang period correct pa. Yun yung, oh my God!
Side note guys, period correct na naman yung car ko. Pero
nag-disclaimer bigla.
Hindi siya Evo setup eh. I'm so sorry guys. Next time.
We'll get there. We'll get there next time. Para
tama.
Magiging Evo din kami. Evo
na
DLXi.
Na period correct ha? Period correct. Except siguro sa audio.
We need the newer audio.
Kailangan
ng Bluetooth talaga ngayon.
For me, ang hirap mabuhay na walang Bluetooth.
And
it hurt the design ng interior if yung aasa ka lang sa plug. Tapos doon mo ikakabit.
Parang pinapatamaan mo ako dun tol. Naka-Bluetooth speaker lang ako dun sa akin.
Hindi, no? Pero meron din kasi ako. Kaya I can relate na...
Tapos pagka nawalan ng battery, habang nagda-drive ka, tapos nawalan ng battery, you would have to scurry through your things just to get the charger.
Oo, diba?
Which is, please do not try that ever. We're not trying to say that we're good drivers, but we're experienced enough to know when to take advantage of that. Pero kung newbie driver ka, please don't try getting your phone or getting your charger while driving. Another one.
Hindi rin namin ina-advise na do it at your own risk. Don't. Yep. Just don't.
Never, please. Do it the safe way. Kung may mas taslapan kayo, please stop, and that's where you do your business. Coming up from the car YouTuber scene, I think isa ko rin pinapanood madalas ngayon is JDM Masters. He's fairly, not exactly new since he was appearing in his friend's video, which is Drift Thunder Albo, for a long time. Pero he started his own YouTube channel called JDM Masters, and he reviews the most prestigious JDM cars ever. I think recently, Honda NSX yung review niya, di ba?
If not prestigious, I think yung mga
most coveted.
Meaning yung mga on the rarer side. Kasi parang yung first video ata na napanood ko sa kanya is about the Evo 2 Itlog.
Yung Evo 1, the very first Evo. Yung wala pang number talaga because back then they coined the Evo not knowing na magpo-produce pa sila ng other versions, just the Lancer Evolution, di ba?
Parang they built it in mind kasi na it's gonna be an evolution
Hmm.
of the
It's like
Lancer. Parang
Mitsubishi's
kumbaga,
project car.
mm, kumbaga, let's see, apply natin yung Darwinism sa cars.
Hmm.
And kunyari yung mga organisms ang rally scene.
Tama.
Parang it's the one that lasted, so it evolved to another form.
Hmm.
Survival of the fittest, ganun. Siyempre, parang to fit more into the scene. Siyempre, you have to
Adapt.
evolve something eh.
Improvise,
Anta,
adapt, overcome.
uh, and that's what they came up to overcome something. In-evolve na yung Lancer into something na supposed to be galant on the guise of a Lancer.
Hmm.
Ganon. Ganon ang basic explanation about
The
the
Evo.
Lancer, the Evo. Oh,
Because
Evo
basically,
for
what they
sure.
did with the Lancer was take the drivetrain and the engine of the Galant and stuck it on a smaller chassis since pahirap yung stages of Group B back then.
Or
But,
this time, it's actually Group A.
yeah.
Eh,
Because we
kasi
all know, well, maybe
Group E
not
is
most of us,
dangerous.
Group B was outlawed following a number of accidents.
Mm.
Not just small accidents, as in big ones.
Sobra.
Because
Like,
basically, Group B had no limits, diba?
mm.
And the only
And,
thing that parang kumbaga requirement to make you participate in Group B was create homologation cars, which is
mm.
parang copy version of what the race cars are,
Parang,
complying to road legal specifications, 'di ba?
kasi ang main rule about that is you need to have a car that is based on a road car.
Mm.
And yung homologation version of a car, lalabas lang yun kasi usually the brands or the racing teams usually develop race car first before the road
Mm.
car. Ganun sila mag-develop back then eh.
Kasi
Ang nire-require kasi ni FIA, dapat guys, nakabase yan sa road car. So,
FIA impression ba yan?
kunyari lang. Pero basically,
Basically,
that's
parang
the rule
reverse
book.
eh, 'di ba na okay, we'll make the most powerful version and then just
Eh,
release the weaker version para ma-approve si powerful version. Parang ganun, 'di ba?
when in fact, ang pinupush, ang main point talaga ng
Group B.
FIA is dapat you have the road car first,
Hmm.
then make it into a race car.
Hmm.
Ganun dapat. That's the logic in mind ng
When
FIA.
FIA set those standards, 'di ba?
Ang inisip nila, they have road cars. Sige, upgrade nyo na lang yan. Sige, pagaan yan. Pagaanan nyo yung weight. Lagyan nyo ng safety measures. Then, sige, good to go. But the thing is, they developed the race cars. So, anong
Because it
nangyari
was
niyan?
easier that way for the manufacturers, 'di ba?
Mm.
Parang tayo comparing us from average road cars to make this into a race car, a lot of developments and studies are needed to make this into a race spec car. Pero if you do the reverse and make a race spec cars first, you could tune it down to a road car, 'di ba?
Kasi, most likely, what you'll need is, syempre, a weaker engine. Well, pero dapat the same. It's the same engine dapat. Pero, syempre, you're gonna release the weaker version. Like, let's say, if it's a turbo, release one with a smaller turbo. Then, sa loob, instead of a gutted one, na dalawa lang ang
Of course, you
seats.
have interiors for daily usage, ganun.
Dapat
I
it
think
should
that was
be...
one of the reasons kung bakit na rin na-outlaw ang Group B after the accidents because basically they had so small of a regulation that car manufacturers just did whatever they wanted, resulting
Mm,
in very dangerous specs, diba?
parang,
And even the conditions were pretty harsh. Because Group
mm,
B was basically rally racing, so you were in the wild with undulations all over the road,
mm.
which is why probably Out B was so dangerous that they had to close it down.
And the one thing about that is, yung Group B, naging super dangerous siya is because most manufacturers always, always, always,
Hmm.
always relied on loopholes on the rule book. Parang, I don't wanna say this, pero tayo mga Pilipino actually, magagaling tayo dito eh.
Saka paghahanap ng loophole.
Paghanap ng loophole, let's say, let's say, semi-formal.
Hmm.
Sabihin, kunyari, there's a rule na dapat semi-formal ang attire.
Mhm.
Tapos, ang ginawa mo, yung taas lang ang formal. Tapos, yung baba, naka,
Naka jeans, naka sneakers.
naka-jeans. Oo. Tapos, sinabi mo, sabi mo, semi-formal. Kasi, ang definition mo na semi-formal, half formal.
Hmm.
So, ayan, half formal, taas formal, baba, casual.
Tama.
Nangyari, manufacturers kept doing that for years. So,
Mhm.
nangyari, kaagano nila,
It's
naging super
basically ano eh,
unsafe na.
parang sinabi ni kunyari FIA, okay, pwede nyo lagyan ng turbo. And manufacturers were like, anong limit ng turbo? FIA was like, I don't care, basta kailangan may turbo. Okay, sige, let's put it at the highest pressure. Ganun, diba?
Oo, di ba? Or kunyari sabihin, we're not gonna limit you to forced induction that you can
Hmm.
use.
Basically, it was a regulation just for show, diba?
Parang ganun yung nangyari. Kasi, like, yung, kunyari, yung katulad ng ganung rule na, for example lang yun, I
Hmm.
think hindi ata ganun yung interpretation.
We don't know too much, so please don't take us for ano. We're just saying this. We're just telling this out of our head. Please don't take
Kasi,
us as facts.
kasi medyo ano talaga medyo expansive yung rule book.
Hmm.
It's like para na ring nag-aral ng law. pa, pa,
Tama,
pa, para,
tama.
para nag-aral ng law. Parang,
There's a lot of things you need to consider talaga and research on, di ba?
na parang nangyari tuloy, nagmukhang defense lawyer ang mga manufacturers eh. Kasi gano'n naman ang point ng defense lawyers eh.
Hmm.
Pero that's besides the point.
Pero yeah, another one YouTuber that I really like is, di ko alam ko tol kung napanood mo na, but I'm pretty sure you have, is Gears and Gasoline.
I think napanood ko na ata siya.
I think
Napanood ko na ata
they
siya.
were probably, ang pinaka-viral nilang video is driving through two states non-stop.
Alam,
Well, not
mm,
necessarily non-stop, more on continuous journey with little stops along the way. And I think they were using a Civic and an Evo 9 specifically, which now they've entered on races ata. I think the Civic one went through major changes. I think naka K20 swap na ata siya ngayon. And as for the Lancer, I think it recently got really tuned and got its chassis fixed. Looking forward to their new project cars. I think bumili sila parehas ng dalawang Mazda RX-7s.
nag-ano daw sila, nag-state hopping daw sila with
Hmm.
those two RX-7s na binili nila. Sobrang solid nung ano yun. Nung
That's car owners goals, 'di ba? Na mag-state hopping ka lang with friends, going through different states, just in your cars chilling, 'di ba? Which we plan
Actually,
to do eventually, hopefully sana.
actually, that's one car na hindi namin nabanggit. Kanina, nagusto rin namin. We both want a Mazda RX-7.
Yes. Rotary power. Ken is planning to, if he ever gets one, planning probably to quad rotor his, or at least put a 20B over the RX-7 hood
mm,
on an
mm,
FC chassis. Yung Savannah, di ba? Savannah 1.
Yung mga later model na. I think
Mine
yung
was,
mga...
you guys probably know this, which were the cars of the Takahashi brothers of Initial D.
Pero I think yung sa akin, I think kung let's say, magpo-province hopping tayo sa Luzon, I
Mhm.
think I think I'm gonna stick na lang sa sa Infini Get Up, Infini 4.
Hmm.
Yung sa FC, there's the RX-7 Infini 4.
Mhm.
Yung dark, I think that's dark green.
Yeah.
Tapos parang yung rims niya, it looks like something like BBSRS.
Yep.
Pero lowered. Hindi
Mhm.
naman super lowered, pero lowered
I
tapos.
think
So,
mas magandang
stock lang
mag-get into this when we have another one of our car guy guests, and I'll shout him out here. He's Austin of Spicy. You can visit him over at Facebook. That's his Facebook page, Spicy. Basically, he's the Mazda head, and he's probably the one will consult for Mazda related stuff. Diba?
mm, especially if non-rotary related stuff.
Hmm.
Like
He knows a
about Mazda a
lot.
lot.
I think he owns a 929 ata, and that's his project car.
Or if ever, pag siya mismo yung pumunta dito.
Yon, Austin,
on
please go on this
or on
podcast.
another on another episode. He's a
Please,
friend of Hans actually.
please stop playing Final Fantasy 14. Please come to this podcast, Austin.
FF14 pa.
But yeah, anyway, tol, na-mention natin kanina is Initial D. What are your thoughts
Mm.
about Initial D? And how they represent cars in general sa media? Tawa ng tawa dyan. Parang iyak tawa
Initial
yan,
D.
tol ah.
Initial D. Oh.
I think for me, Initial D was
Ah.
probably the entry point for me into car racing, because back then, before watching Initial D, I wasn't really that much of a knowledgeable driver. Not to say that I'm good, pero definitely not knowledgeable pre-Initial D. But because of Initial D, I think that's when I really took an interest on how to drive correctly, on how to drive with proper physics, diba?
Mm.
Because that was the point of Initial G, drifting around toges. Toge is Japan's term for mountain passes. So, to give context, for those who haven't watched Initial D is basically about this guy who owns an AE86, a Toyota AE86, in which he doesn't know that it was one of the most high performing cars despite being it on a shitbox level.
He doesn't know that it's actually a high performance Corolla.
Yep. And he uses it to deliver tofus on the mountain roads of his hometown until one day he beats this guy with an RX-7, and that guy takes a grudge and challenges him to an official race in which he wins. And this is where Ken cringes.
For me, sure, the Yamaha developed engine, how do we call this? For AGE, maganda naman siya
Hmm.
overall, pero in the grander scheme of thing,
There's a lot
medyo
of better engines out there.
kumbaga, on a bigger scale, on a bigger picture, medyo mediocre talaga siya.
Hmm.
And what cringes me is that ang dami tuloy nagiging fanboys of that same car na then asking themselves why can't they win races with it? Kasi
When this guy on the anime series basically wins everything using this car, diba?
mm, I'm sorry to debunk you
To
initially
bonk
fans
you.
about this one, but
Mhm.
guys, sinasabi ko sa inyo, Takumi is actually equipped with a plot armor. Sinasabi ko sa inyo.
I can imagine the AE86 fans coming at us with pitchforks saying, Karen, baba, Karen, baba.
Burn me at the stake. I don't care. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, 4AGE is a good engine, but in the
It is
grander
not
scheme
top
of things,
tier.
like yung sinabi ko kanina, it fucking sucks. It's a fact. Like, maniniwala pa ako sa initial D if, let's say, Takumi and his dad swapped in a dual VVTi 3SGE beams engine in it. And that one is on par with Evo and Civic. I don't wanna deconstruct initial D further. Pero kung titignan nyo upon closer inspection, hindi nyo ba napapansin, guys, na Takumi actually wins due to circumstances and not by his actual skill. Kasi if they were both skilled and weren't victims of circumstances, Takumi wouldn't have stood a chance.
It's not that
I'm
it's because like he's a lesser skilled driver because I'm pretty sure Bunta raised him well, but it's more of the car's limitations din, 'di ba?
I think nabanggit naman ni Hans to kanina. Best motoring. There's an episode of Best Motoring that had the exact same battle between Takumi and Shingo.
Which is the EG6 V16 spoon-tuned Civic
Wi-
versus the Hachiroku with the 4AG engine.
Similar yung nasa Best Motoring. Kasi yung Seeker EG6 versus yung I don't know kung anong setup ng 4AGE na pinagamit dun sa video. But even on a short distance, the E86's ass was freaking kicked by the Civic.
It's a Honda. Come on. Let's not kid ourselves. Honda versus Toyota. I think Honda would pretty much take everything.
Diba?
Oh.
Parang that's
It's not
the source
because
of
that Takumi is, like I said before, it's not because Takumi is a less skilled driver, but because of the car's limitation.
Kasi, truth be told, he's not a pushover himself. But for the content to be believable, he should have at least na merong makina siya na well-equipped other than the for AGE. Kasi, ayun na nga sabihin na natin, sure. Ken, meron ako nakita na for AGE na 400 HP, dude. Unat sa pole. Twin-charged yun. And if hindi siya twin-charged, probably naka 7 AGE yung block niya.
Which can be found on the 1990s model ng Toyotas. And
mga
course,
Altis, ganun.
1980s, the Hachiroku, the A86 is an 80s model. So back then, during initial D, I think more or less wala pang ganun technology. Ano ba placement ng initial D on that time scale? Like, what year was it set? Do you think?
Siguro kung titignan mo, yung mga opponents niya, parang meron ng mga late 90s na JDM icon. There's an S2K and an MR2 nga MRS. So,
tama. And an
it's
Evo 7 ba? I think?
Evo 7. Silvia S15, meron din. Siguro yung mga first stages, probably mid to late 90s up until early to mid. Mga ganun. Not necessarily saying na yun yung na-cover na time frame.
It's parang basta speculation lang namin.
Kasi based on the cars na nag-appear, diba? So yung level of tuning, kumbaga.
But would you say that initial D is a good entry point for drivers who are willing to improve their skills?
If you're wanting to improve your skills, do analyze yung parts starting from the Kanagawa Alliance. Kasi by then, drifting is totally, or not really totally, but virtually non-existent sa anime. Kasi
there early stages, malaking emphasis nila on the drifting part, diba?
And kasi by this time, around 5th stage, yung opponent team, like yung quote-unquote, the antagonists of that season, they have a strong focus on track builds. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they have cars that are totally built for
For the track.
time attacks.
For
For time attack.
circuits.
For circuits, track days, mga ganon. And, syempre, knowing that, they can't afford to drift. Kasi, if you're gonna drift, it's gonna cost you a lot of tire grip.
And
Kasi,
that's time shaved off, diba?
And not to mention, ang bilis niyang maka-contribute to your tire wear. And on actual track racing, you don't
drift
want
as much. You don't want to drift. Especially kung time attack. Which is
you
why I
don't
think pinasok na rin nila yung the concept of zero counter steer for Takumi, diba?
diba?
Instead of fully drifting the corner, he would just rather power slide over it, which is like, para din siyang drift, pero not so much on the angle nung kotse. More like just preparing the car to accelerate exiting the corner.
If you're gonna drift talaga, parang may emphasis talaga siya on showing the lines. Kumbaga it's more of
a showy type of racing.
Parang,
whereas track racing is basically just putting every skill you have on to the test.
And syempre, you can't afford to lose every second eh.
Because in motorsports, even just a fraction of a second is important. That 0.1 second can cost you the match.
It counts kasi. Oo. Kasi, for sure naman, most of you guys, nakapaglaro na kayo ng online games. Tapos nakikita niyo yung ping, right? On the corner of the screen. Kung ilan yung ping. That ping, yung ganun lang kaliit na interval ng ping, can cost you the battle. Kasi, game recommendation na din, Gran Turismo. You should play that. You should play that, guys, kung gusto na talagang parang
on a racing simulator.
On a brush up. Kunyari, gusto niyo lang i-brush up yung skills niyo for racing. Or talagang gusto niyo makapag-simulate ng racing, then try to study racing lines, ganyan. I lost an event once in the game just because I have a 500 because of some
kaya mo yan.
nawala ako eh, parang hindi ko maalala kung ilang
But basically it was a very small difference.
Very small. I think 50 ms lang ata yan.
50 milliseconds lang can cost you the match, the entire match.
Parang yung 50 ms na yun na if hindi ko nakuha yung error, yung margin of error na yun na 50 ms, I could have won.
So small things like that can eventually cost you a match. So coming up from that initial D, another racing series is Wangan Midnight. What are your thoughts about Wangan Midnight compared to Initial D? Some of you might say na you can't compare Initial D to Wangan Midnight because Initial D is basically based on Toge racing and Wangan Midnight is more known for its highway speed racing. So yeah, what are your thoughts about Wangan Midnight?
Kung Initial D focuses on skill, Wangan Midnight focuses on skill din naman. Pero it boils down more to the tuning of the car kasi
another set of skills na more on finding the right balance and the tune of the car, which enables you to go faster.
I think I should spoil you for this one na.
So, wait lang.
Sure.
Put tayo na Spoiler alert. For those who haven't watched Wangan Midnight, please take a moment and mute this part of the video.
Ayun, yun. Please mute this part of the video if you haven't watched it.
2, 1.
Okay. Sure. Si Devil Z is an uncontrollable car. Uncontrollable siya in the sense na sobrang ganda ng acceleration niya. Like, ang fast acceleration niya. But there's not much emphasis on the actual balance of the car. Na parang nangyari sa tuning niya is medyo super unbalanced. Fuck you, Jun Kitami. Sobrang palpak mong mekaniko ka. Sobrang palpak kang mekaniko ka.
I think the alcohol is getting to Ken, guys.
Wala kang kwenta.
The alcohol is getting to Ken, guys.
Pero yun nga.
Jokes aside, it was a really unbalanced car.
Jokes aside. Kasi it relates to something about it has focus on the anime focuses on this tuning skill of the
tuning
mechanics
part of the car mismo.
Kasi end of the anime, the Devil Z is actually no longer a devil. Kasi naging ano na siya, naging balanced car na siya na
in a way
even the
makaka-control, it's easier to control na.
Excuse me. Like, hindi na siya nag-stop oversteer.
Mm-hmm.
Just because yung humawak na bagong mechanic, which na babae, na-pinpoint niya yung cause ng imbalance of the car. With the heavy engine up front, ginawa niya, she transferred the oil system, yung wet sump tol. Sump. Ginawa niya dry sump tol. Yun lang yung ginawa niya. Ginawa niya yung dry sump. Para ma-move niya yung
para ma-offset yung para mas lalong ma-balance pala. Yung mismong car.
Para ma-distribute yung weight kasi mangyayari. Kasi mabigat ang L28 eh. One of the things na magpapabigat sa engine, sa lahat ng engines naman, is yung oil pan. Especially if malaki yung engine.
And in this case, it's 2.8?
2.8 na 6-cylinder, inline 6. That's a pretty big oil pan. So ginawa ni ate mong mekaniko.
Mekaniko ni Monica.
Parang ganun.
Mekaniko ni Monica.
Ginawa niya, kinonvert niya to a dry sump system. Meaning, you won't have the need for an oil pan kasi there's gonna be a mechanism na ipopump niya to an external, which is yung sump. Papunta doon yung oil. Then, isa-cycle niya ulit pabalik on the engine para hindi siya nasa ilalim yung. So, ngayon, pagdating tuloy ngayon sa engine, nag-balance lahat. Nag-balance lahat yung car. So, instead na naging front heavy siya, which is yung reason kaya siya naging Devil Z. Kasi front heavy siya, so sobrang imbalanced.
And lalo na pagdating sa, let's say, sa handling, if your car is very front heavy, that can lead to erratic handling, which is another basic symptom of the devil, quote-unquote, Devil Z.
Kasi yung, parang...
Because the legend is, diba, dun sa anime, that nobody can control this car and it has killed every driver that rode on it, diba?
How it handles yung car is like you're driving a sperm cell.
Nako po.
Paano ka mag-handle ng mode times, diba? Ang hirap nun. I mean, kaya tignan mo yung motion ng...
This podcast just became R18. Hello, demonetization.
Maglalagay na tayo ng explicit tag dito.
That's it for this segment and we'll take a break and see you guys next time. I mean, later. Next time agad. Tinatapos na. Later, guys. And...
Chill! Meron pang fuckboy notion.
Okay. It's break time. Welcome back to the last segment of the podcast. This is me again, your host Hans, and I'm with Ken.
Hello, guys.
And for the last part, we're planning to talk about the negative connotations of being a car guy. So, my good
Mhm.
friend, ano nga ba ang negative
Sorry.
connotations? Mostly isa
I think,
dun, natatawag tayong fuckboy. Kahit hindi naman.
ayan ang madalas eh. Ayan ang
Oo.
madalas.
Bakit nga ba tinatawag ang mga car guys na fuckboys?
Pwedeng victims of circumstances na lang din. Kasi, pwedeng ganun. Pwedeng ganun. Pero kasi, yung iba naman, nagiging arrogant once nagkaroon sila ng, let's
Ng
say,
auto.
ng auto. Lalo na kapag medyo kinapitan ng mga pyesa and stuff.
Mm.
Minsan, parang doon pa lang, nagiging arrogant na sila. So,
And di ko rin alam kung kailan nag-start. Pero mostly na-assign to sa civic guys eh. Ikaw, tingin mo ba? Yan ang mahirap
kasi,
na tanong eh.
yun nga eh, mahirap yung tanong na yan eh. Pero kasi, pansin ko na, siguro yung Dawn na nga din nung easy customization options para sa mga cars. Plus, yung sinabi kong factor kanina na probably yung pagiging arrogante nila para dun sa car na kesyo. Naka fully set up na or di naman fully set up, basta may mga
At least
kabit
may
na
nag-allow
like
na modification or something, di ba?
ah,
Mostly, I think, more on exterior.
so nangyayari parang they feel like they have something to flex.
Yung
Which
kumbaga,
in turn,
para may bling-bling.
parang
Na
ginagawa
gold
nilang ganun eh.
chain, ganun. Gold chain, Nike Jordan shoes.
Tapos, syempre, I don't wanna judge, pero minsan may mga babae kasing nagpapaagat sa ganun.
Ayun lang.
Tipong mga nakasando. Ay! Sorry.
Oops.
Sorry, girls.
Oops. Pero yeah, I think it's very unfair na ma-judge lahat ng car guys. Lahat kayo fuckboys. Because there's people, not saying na it's us, but there's a lot of people who just want to go into the car scene just purely because they like cars, di ba? I think one of the reasons din na na-attach yung fuckboy notion sa atin is like the tendency to be arrogant in a way na hindi sa pag-flex ng gamit, pero to flex on average people on public roads. Like,
Parang para lang masabi na pogi, ganyan.
na, uy, maporma yung kotse, ganun. Pero
Ano
in
ba,
reality, like, I think this is more attributed to, to a lack of discipline on public roads instead of just because na fuckboy ka, ganun. I think it's more of a discipline problem talaga, na you see these young guys out there, oh god, I sound like a boomer. 25 and I sound like a boomer.
Tol. It's okay. It's okay.
Pero yun nga, di ba? The lack of discipline on public roads is something na dun mo palang makikita yung mental age ng tao, in a way. Like, pagka palapatol, let's say, may kamote rider or may kamote driver, di ba?
Tapos parang ang instant response mo is, let's say, kunyari,
banatan
sorry,
ko to. Ganun.
parang, sorry na lang.
Oy, ayos ka! Parang ganun.
Tipong mga, sorry na lang kay Idol Baron, pero mga tipong Baron guys, like, mga Baron guys.
Kasi, ang dami kong instances, I remember, pagka nasa stoplight ako, I would get revved on by a lot of guys.
Mirror.
Yeah, mostly, not to offend you Mitsubishi Mirage owners, but maybe let's say a good chunk of you guys always rev at me on stoplights just because I have a big bore exhaust na hindi naman ako nagpakabit dun sa kotse ko. First owner pa yung nagkabit nun.
And pangalaw siguro dahil Lancer.
In Japan, the Lancer Evolution was a separate line sa lineup nila compared to the actual Lancers, which was dubbed as the Mirage. Yun yung original Mirage. They were actually Lancers. When they imported
usually
that to the
may
Philippines,
hatchbacks eh.
The Mirage remained as the hatchback and the sedans became Lancers. Pero the Lancers of the Philippines are entirely different to the Lancer Evolutions in Japan because they had different chassis codes. In a way, same characteristics, pero there were some minor differences which differentiated an actual Evo chassis to a regular Lancer chassis. It would be something like
siguro parang mas maganda yung
mga ganun, di ba?
Yun yung sabihin ko. Mas maganda yung reinforcing on some certain
or like
certain
sa Lancers, di ba?
sections.
parang V-bar pa tayo sa likod, 'di ba? Sa rear. Well, hindi pala tayo, yung mga actual Evo pala talaga. Yung mga actual Evo
Sila.
may V-brace din sa likod, sa rear seats, compared to the regular economy Lancers, which it's just a big hole. And that makes the car less rigid compared to their Evolution counterparts.
Although, pwede mo rin naman siyang let's say, DIY, pero
Mm.
dapat maayos yung gagawa.
Lalo na yung stitching ng pagwe-welding, 'di ba? Pero yeah, going back to those to the Mitsubishi Mirage people. I don't know what your problem is with the Lancer group, but sometimes you guys keep revving on us even though wala pa kaming ginagawang masama. And most of the times I would just let these guys go. I really am not in a hurry when I'm driving unless I'm really pumped, but when I drive pumped, that's mostly because I want to do it for myself. And I don't want to call it undisciplined driving because there's a difference in undisciplined and spirited driving. Spirited is you're trying to push a car, but not you're trying to push a car and yourself to a certain level below your limit.
Parang you're just doing it up tempo. You're just upping the tempo, pero not
And you're doing
really
it for fun, not to challenge others.
up.
Kasi mostly, I think, I don't want to clown on the Filipino people, but a lack of driving education din when in terms of handling situations like that na kunyari pagka somebody wants to challenge you to a race or let's say some unfortunate dickhead suddenly decides to cut you off. Yung tipong walang nagbibigayan sa daan. Like, let's say for example, merging lane. Typically on merging lanes, you would go in a zipper pattern. Right lane goes first and then left merges, then right lane again, and then left lane merges. But here in the Philippines, due to the lack of education and discipline, most people would just do their own way and try to parang unahan kahit alam mong nasa pwesto na yung isa or alam mo na siya na dapat sunod. There's this certain thinking na, okay, dapat ako yung mauna. Which I think really hurts the notions of being a car guy in the Philippines dahil nga, alam mo yun tol, parang tingin nila basagulero, ganun, di ba?
Which is 2021 na ngayon eh.
Ayos-ayos naman din tayo magmaneho. Uy, aral-aral din.
Baka kailangan nyo mag-re-enroll.
Or
Pwede
baka,
naman.
kung may time kayo mag-ML dyan, pwede din naman gamitin nila para manood sa YouTube ng driving videos.
Yun. Marami kaming na-recommend dyan. Pwede yung panoorin isa-isa.
Which brings us to our next subject, tol. How does one become a better driver, especially sa roads natin in the Philippines where there's a lot of undisciplined, especially on the public transportation side? How do we become a better driver? How do we tolerate these undisciplined drivers better?
For me, although gumana siya kasi sa akin, na dapat dapat maging full practitioner ka ng defensive driving.
Kasi there's a lot of people that doesn't know defensive driving. And we're not saying this trying to be professionals about it. We're just really average people. Parehas kaming may non-pro license. Pero from the things we have experienced on the roads of the Philippines, I think defensive driving is really an underrated aspect of driving.
Kasi at least pagka sanay ka sa defensive driving, at least kaya mo maging vigilant, 'di ba? During driving na alam mo yung anong mga dapat iwasan sa ganitong area. Good stuff.
And knowing when to accelerate, knowing when to decelerate, diba? And learning the distances na kung ganong kalayo ba, like kung aabutin ba ng brakes mo pumreno sa ganitong gap, yung mga ganong. And I think eto, alam ko tol, for sure masasagot mo to. It's more of understanding your car's characteristics. Baga parang tao na kaibigan mo na pinapakisamahan mo na. Okay, si ganito, alam ko.
Alam ko yung mga ayaw niya.
Ganon.
Alam ko yung mga hilig niya, yung what's best for him, ganon.
Ikaw tol, paano mo ba, how did you begin to understand your Lancer? Even though we both have Lancers, they're really different in terms of the small details. We have different chassis and we have different weights din and orientations of the engines, mga ganon. So, could you explain more on that, tol?
Paano ba siya i-describe ng
one thing to like about sa mga Lancer natin is the way they handle.
Siguro,
how would you describe your Lancer Your itlog lancer's handling.
Kung sa daily driving, sobrang grabe. Ang ganda ng parang cornering ability niyan. Like, hindi sa hindi like kung on a track setting Pero, but more of the, kaya may kailangan kang sumingit kasi may mga drivers na nakabalagbag, ganyan. Ang
Yung
dali
turning
niyang,
radius niya, ganun.
ang dali niyang nakakasingit on some tight spaces. Kanina na lang, ginawa ko yun eh. Nung nasa labas ako, tapos na-traffic ako. Tapos, grabe, ang daming nakabalagbag na kotse na, well, I don't blame them naman kasi, syempre,
Lack of parking spaces din. Isa rin nating problem yan dito sa Philippines eh.
Yun na nga eh. Sobrang, ang daming mga tipong garage na walang dedicated na, mali, bahay na dedicated, na may dedicated garage na pwede magpasok. Nagko-contribute tuloy sila sa congestion.
We're not trying to be political or anything, but in a common sense standpoint, when you have cars on the road, tapos they're taking up maybe about 3/4 of a lane just because they're parked, talaga magli-lead into congestion yan.
Kasi you're already considered a road block eh. Unless na lang na pwede ka talaga talagang dinesignate ka na pwede ka mag-park doon. Maybe just most of the time, hindi naman eh.
That's one of the reasons why the sidewalk clearing groups aren't really succeeding as much, because you're taking these guys off of the roads, but you're not offering any solution to how they can solve their problem, di ba? Oo, like, partly problem din ng owner na, and mostly dapat bago ka bumili ng ganyang investment, which is a car, you should have the proper housing for these. Kung magkakotse ka, may garahe ka. That's already a given, di ba? To end that political statement a bit, I vowed never to get political on this podcast.
Dapat nga hindi.
It is what it is. It's what we experience dito sa Philippine roads eh. Pero yeah, that's one thing I really like about the Lancer then is because I find na ang daming kotse ngayon which uses electrical power steering. I find that while it's lighter on your arms, it actually has
hindi
a
mo
lot
siya
of
nafe-feel tuloy eh.
workload pa. Oh, yun, hindi mo siya nafe-feel. So, whenever you turn, like let's say you're turning right. On an electronic power steering, you would have to steer it to the right. Then as soon as you make that turn, you have to manually steer it back to the left. On an hydraulic power system like our Lancers, those would typically roll themselves back. Yun yung isa kong napapansin sa Lancer, which is why I really like the car, that it really helps you become a better driver by knowing where the wheel actually is. Kasi that's one underrated aspect, is knowing where your tires are and what your tires are doing.
At the current moment na where your steering wheel is pointed.
Kasi what I find most about these cars, because my uncle owns a newer generation, like 2018 model, if I remember correctly, na Toyota Wigo. Most of the times, even though it's comfy than my Lancer in terms of driving experience, in a way, like, driving experience
within the city, ganun.
Within the city, pero in terms of giving feedback towards the driver, it's a bit lacking, honestly. Which is why I really don't like relying on these electrical systems. That's the old school driver in me. Yun na lang.
Pero for me kasi yun nga eh, parang electronic bits of the newer cars. And it automates too much yung mga bits ng driving experiences that we should experience firsthand.
In order to become a better driver, diba?
Kasi
without feedback, you wouldn't know what's happening to the car. Whereas compared na, a lot more effort, pero if you're getting the right feedback, na you know exactly what your car is doing, then you're beginning to understand your car more.
Yung harmony ng driver and car, kumbaga.
Tol, parang initial D nga, you're connected to the car.
Initial D. No.
Hard pass, hard pass. It can be like hard pass.
Initial D? How about no?
How about a no right there, Bo? I think another underrated aspect of understanding your car is knowing how to place your rear view mirrors and your side view mirrors.
Properly.
Yes,
Properly.
properly. Because typically, what most drivers do is go with the 60-40. 60% of the mirror is covering the road, and 40% of the mirror is reflecting the car. But for
Mm.
me, like, I find it much more helpful with it's about 95 or 5. I don't want to go 100% full because I still need to see the sides of my car just to assess where I am at currently. So sometimes I would
Mm.
like to run 90-10 or yun nga, 95-5 just to get
Best bet.
na
Be-
and it really helps lalo na pagka nagpa-park ka or nagmamaneobra ka somewhere.
Oo. Sobra. Sobra.
Ikaw tol, ano ba ang ano mo pagkadating sa mga mirrors mo?
Ano? 85-15 most of the time.
Hmm.
Pero, it's more about ang mas may pakialam ako. Kasi, alam ko na rin naman yung timpla ko eh. I
Hmm.
never go out of 85-15.
Hmm.
Pero, when it comes to parking, yun dun talaga ako particular kung saan nakaharap yung mirror. Kasi syempre, gusto ko, kita ko yung underside ng rear part
Hmm.
ng car. Like yung corner. Same din dun sa kabila. So, at least, kita ko na if parang baka may tamaan ako or what. Kita agad. Makikita mo na, shit, sobrang hairline nung lapit.
But yeah, going back to the rear view mirrors thingy and the side view mirrors. One thing na gusto ko pang idagdag dun sa side view mirrors is I'm not sure if I'm making any sense right here. But at least at the very inner parts of your side mirrors, you should be able to see a glimpse of your rear door handle para yun yung magde-determine kung nasaan na actually yung sides mo ng kotse mo,
Mm,
'di ba? Lalo na
good
pagka
point, good point.
nagre-reverse ka sa parking, gano'n. Like when you're going to park facing front, that really helps a lot. Kasi ako pagka nagpa-park ako in reverse, I usually turn my body and look back
Mm,
instead of just relying on the mirrors. But if you're a mirror reliant person, I would advise that you keep a bit of your rear view just to see where your car is. Rear door handle pala.
actually, yung magandang revision dyan is not just the rear door handle, pero
Mm.
tama mo na din yung if you can lang naman, parang yung lower corner ng
Mm.
bumper mo. Kasi
Yung sa
dun
may part
mo,
na makikita mo na yung side skirt ng kotse mo.
kasi dun mo makikita yung yung parang proximity.
And yeah, I would like to also suggest, eto tol, ikaw, how do you position yourself in a driving position dun sa kotse mo? Because I have a story on this when I was still a newbie driver, but I want you to go first.
Alam ko yan. Tanda ko yan. Siguro angles. Ilang degrees ba to? Basta semi-straight yung
Not
magiging...
exactly 90, di ba?
Kasi parang pag exactly 90, it honestly
Nakakangawin.
would... that's one. And probably, it will feel like driving a truck pag
Yung
90.
mataas yung upuan, ganun.
Naka-90 yung seating
Wait, are we talking about
position
like
nyo.
arm angle dito or leg angle?
Leg angle.
Ah, okay.
Arm angle, well, affected nga din naman yung arm angle if kunyari yung depends sa sa leg angle. Kasi usually pagka mga 90-degree leg angle na, parang yun na yung mga type na nakarest dapat yung hands mo dun sa
Steering wheel.
sa steering wheel na usually parang naka-angle siya pababa. Like yung yung front facing up Pero hindi siya yung typical na car config. Ganun yun Ganun yung mas optimal na setup if you're going for
like a leisurely drive, ganun.
Pero kung
Ako, like,
mga general lang, yung mga 30 yung best bet talaga.
Ikaw, Tol, where do you place your hands on the steering wheel? Do you mostly go for the 9-3 position or the 10-2?
9-3.
Yeah,
9-3 if
9-3.
going fast.
Hmm. Because you have a lot more, balance to the steering wheel.
Ah,
And I think,
pero
isa ring,
pero 12 o'clock ako if nagpa-park.
hmm,
Dun lang.
ang isa pang, like, I think mostly bad information na tinuturo minsan sa driving school is they teach you the passing method na pagtuturn, the feeding method na okay, si left hand, when I'm turning right, I'm going to push the steering wheel towards my right hand and then let go again and then do the same thing to the right hand. And I think that's more suited for slow driving a bit. But when you're really turning at a high angle, you need to do the overlapping method talaga.
Mm.
Where you're really not trying to cross your arms, but you're turning using both hands. You're turning the steering wheel towards the maximum angle you can do without crossing your arms and then taking one arm off and grabbing the other end. I think that's more efficient since mas mabilis ka rin makaka-turn compared to the feeding method. And one thing that I would like to add to the positioning, so your wrists need to be on the steering wheel as you're fully extending it. That's how you know when you have the optimal positioning on your steering wheel. Because now
Mm.
when you put it on the 9-3 position, that gives you like a good angle on your elbow na hindi ka agad mangangalay.
Ah,
Especially on
ah.
long drives. Pag long drives
Na
dyan nangangawit na ako tol, mga ganon.
mas ramdam mo talaga siya if
Hmm.
sanay ka sa 10-2 eh. Oh, tol, tipong yung 10-2 talaga, mas maganda siya if medyo pababa
Mm.
yung angle facing up yung ng steering wheel.
Usually, ako, on a straight road, I would go 9-3. And then, if I have to turn, that's when I go 10-2. Because there's a lot more
Mm.
sensitivity pagka 10-2.
Ah.
And please, eto, isa rin akong, I overcame this, this stuff, but never put your thumbs inside the steering wheel. Because in an event of an accident, that will hurt your hands pretty bad and possibly break them. So it's better to use your
Diba?
palms sa steering wheel. Think of it like para kang humahawak ng tennis racket, 'di ba? Ganun lang. Your thumbs needs to be placed on the middle of the steering wheel instead of actually gripping the whole steering wheel like you're gripping a ball or something, 'di ba? Eto tol, the greatest debate for a driver. Ikaw ang gusto kong sumagot nito.
Hmm.
Manual or automatic transmission?
It depends. eh,
Pero for the
legit
both
naman.
of us, we really like the manual transmission side of things.
Siyempre. Kasi it gives you, well, yung gusto nga natin about sa mga 90s cars or
Hmm.
mga older cars in general, yung feedback and
Mm-hmm.
control of the car. Pero
That is
kasi,
really important to have exact control of your car, di ba?
tapos, yung automatic transmission naman, which, counted naman under that ang CVT. So,
Hmm.
I would have the same answer with the CVT.
Hmm.
Yes, guys, magkaibang transmission ng CVT and
Ah,
automatic.
hmm.
Same lang sila.
Same
Same,
principle pero different characteristics.
uh, usually, ang automatics and CVT cars, mas comfy sila if you're within the city na tipong, alam mo yun,
There's a lot of
kakaup.
stop and go, mga ganun dyan.
Maraming stop and go, tapos parang you need to focus on the road more than enjoying the driving.
Hmm.
Pwede na siya. Pwede na yung
So for
pwede na
me,
yung
parang
transmission.
minsan nababaligtad ko. I don't know if it's just me or for long drives, the state hopping long drives, I think automatic transmission is really suited for it. Pagka traffic and it's a pretty long drive, like we're talking Philippine traffic na 10 kilometers takes you about 2 hours, mga ganon. 10 to 15 kilometers takes you 2 hours because I live in the metro. Ken right here lives in the province side, so he doesn't have to deal with anything with anything of sort of
As of now.
matter
As of
as
now.
of now.
Pero
But
kasi,
eventually, babalik ka rin dito, tol. Matatraffic ka din.
yun na nga eh.
Pero yeah, like,
Uh,
as I was
the,
saying, kung medyo alam mong long drive in terms of time, not exactly the distance, I think definitely Matic. But if you're looking for a fun drive, which can go with short or long in terms of distance, manual is the best bet. Kasi you're more engaged with the car, di ba? And like yun nga, sabi nga namin, going back, manual gives you more feedback and gives you more control of the car in terms of knowing how much torque the wheels are spinning right now, and then staying on on the most optimal gear on whatever your road you're in.
oh,
Because in practicality, syempre, matik naman talaga. But I would advise all the all the new guys who would want to learn to how to drive to always go with manual muna.
kasi ano eh, once you get the learning curve, madali na. Dali na
Mm.
ang matik.
Going from manual to matic, and I'm sure you can relate with me, tol. Going from manual to matic feels like you're playing a video game.
Or parang parang go-kart.
You're playing parang a simulator na lang, ganun.
No, wala kang ginagalaw na, na
Mm.
shifters. Well, ginagalaw mo pa rin naman pagka
Minsan nga,
titigil ka na.
for some reason, mas nakangawit pa ako sa automatic car namin kesa sa manual ko. I don't know why.
For me that would be with my feet.
Especially
Kasi
on
wala,
the on the joint around your legs before your between your knees and your thighs. I think that's where it hurts most, lalo na pagka you're stuck in traffic driving an automatic. Tapos isang leg lang yung gumagalaw sa'yo or isang paa lang, di ba?
which is another tip. Siguro mas magandang may another seating position if meron kang, or rather, nakamatic ka. Then, let's say, nakamanual ka. Mas maganda na, wait, saan na nga ba ako? Medyo nawala ako dun.
Okay, kaya mo yan, tol. Alam ko, medyo napapagod na tayo.
Hindi. Hindi ko maalala yung term eh. Bigla nawala sa utak ko eh.
Lasing na yan.
Tip of the tongue!
But yeah, what I think you're trying to say is, place your legs, especially sa seating position, kasi
Ayun.
adjustment naman ng front and backwards movement. I think it's better to place your legs in a way na hindi ka rin fully sharp angled like 90. More on 130 something? I don't know math shit. I suck at math.
Something to not give your left foot some stress. As much as possible, iwasan natin yun. If you're using an automatic transmission. Pero if it's gonna be an H pattern naman,
even
it's fine.
manual, di ba? Ayun, I just googled it now. It's a reflex angle. Try to place your legs in a reflex angle. Ang hirap ng math. Ang hirap ng math.
We all suck at math.
Tatlong beses ako bumagsak dyan, calculus. Fuck you, calculus. Pero yeah, I think to round this
high
off,
school days.
Go ahead.
Wala lang, high school days.
Alam mo, sabihin ka pa sa high school days ng math eh.
Wala. Or kala ko,
So yeah, to conclude that, please drive safely, practice defensive driving, and study your car's characteristics.
And stay loyal to your girlfriends.
Oh! Stop being a fuckboy. Oh shit!
Tawa.
So yeah, that's it for us, guys. Anything you wanna plug, Ken? Anything you wanna tease in the future episodes?
Future episodes. Since we were speaking about fuckboys, I think
Sando Gaming, I'm sorry.
Di Sando Gaming. Well, sige, Sando. Sando. Sa Sando.
But that's another topic for another day. Thank you very much for listening. And goodbye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.